What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with another video. We all know that the Book of Boba Fett is coming to Disney Plus next month. And quite honestly, I was not that impressed with the first trailer. It did not really excite me that much, and we didn't learn much. And it might be because they're trying to hold some of it back. It might be because they're still in post-production for some of the episodes. But I'm hoping it's a little bit more involved with a lot of the existing Star Wars characters in canon than just Boba Fett and Fennec Shan kind of taking over Jabba's palace. I hope they bring back some of the important characters within the Star Wars canon, specifically bounty hunters. And, you know, there's obviously a lot of different bounty hunters in the universe. It's a very rich history between the books and comics and the movies. And I really think that there's a number of cool bounty hunters that could show up in the Book of Boba Fett. So I put together my most wanted list, my wish list of different characters that I hope show up in the Book of Boba Fett. And I'm going to pick some comics that I think are maybe worth taking a look at. And for most of these, not all of them, but most of these, I picked like the really most desirable kind of investment grade level book for each one of these, and then I picked maybe an alternate comic that is less expensive. And I'm showing 9.8 prices for all of these just to keep things apples to apples, but obviously adjust your budget as necessary. Get raw, get lower grade, whatever it is that you collect. But let's go ahead and dig right in. The first one we've got is Zuckuss, and so we all know about Zuckuss and 4-LOM. They have kind of an interesting history, especially as it relates to the Kenner figures, since they were mislabeled on the mint on card boxes. But Zuckuss is this one. He's the one, the brown with the brown cloak, and I think he breathes in like an ammonia type of solution, and that's what his alien race breathes in. So that's why he has to wear this big apparatus for breathing in oxygen-based environments. But anyway, you know, I'm excluding for this analysis the obvious elephant in the room, which is Star Wars 42. We all know that that's the first appearance of Boba Fett and the first cameo of all the bounty hunters. That book's really expensive at a 9.8. You're talking $3,000 plus. So I'm excluding 42. Obviously that's your best choice if you got the budget for it. But interestingly, the first cameo appearance of Zuckuss was not until Shadows of the Empire #2. That's a series that I love, and I actually bought in a 9.8 grade Shadows of the Empire #1, which is Prince Zizor's first appearance. But Shadows of the Empire #2 is his first cameo, and then Shadows of the Empire #4 is Zuckuss's first full appearance. So there's some good options there, and it's interesting that his first full comic appearance does not happen until the 1990s in the Dark Horse comics. So here's an example of one that sold. This is Shadows of the Empire #2, again his first cameo. That one sold for $150. That's also the first full appearance of Dash Rendar, who's another character within the expanded universe that I could see showing up in one of these shows soon. So that gives you an idea of what that one costs. There hasn't been any Shadows of the Empire #4 that have sold recently in a 9.8, but my gut says that you can pick that up for very inexpensive and probably even cheaper than what this one sold for. Now, if that's too expensive for you, I think that's your best choice. Obviously, Star Wars 42 is your best choice. Then Shadows of the Empires #2 and 4. But another good option to consider is War of the Bounty Hunters #1. It's not like a key issue, so to speak, but it kind of ties him back to Boba Fett, brings him back into the fold. And that cover is 1 of 1,000 for the Virgin. It's only 1,000 copies printed. It's a Sunset Comics exclusive. The Virgin cover's epic. It shows Zuckuss hanging off the edge with Boba Fett looking down on him. This is actually an homage to the 1 in 25 Dr. Aphro first appearance comic. But that's another good option that they're for sale right now for $120 plus $10 shipping on eBay, or you can go directly to sunsetcomics.com and get it for even cheaper. So that's one I did pick up. I think it's an epic cover, and I think long term it's got the potential there to be collectible. So that's Zuckuss. Now 4-LOM, who's the other character that's kind of the droid. You know, obviously they came out with War of the Bounty Hunters, 4-LOM and Zuckuss, kind of a side story that just came out, so there's not any graded examples of that. But that book does tell the origin of 4-LOM and Zuckuss, so that's their origin story. And I could see that issue #1 being collectible. So you know, there hasn't been any graded sales yet because it just came out. I actually like the second cover better, which is a 1 in 25 cover, and that shows Zuckuss with like a robotic Zuckuss behind him, like a octopus Zuckuss robot. But either one of those I think are probably worth a pickup once we start seeing those resell the graded copies on eBay. I bet they won't be expensive either. But if you want his first full appearance in comics, it was, again, in Shadows of the Empire #3. So 2, 3, and 4 will get you the first full or first cameo appearances of Forlom and Zuckuss. And so I would take a look at that. And in terms of Shadows of the Empire #3, here's a price point and a 9.8. That one sold for $157.50. So $150 to $160 will get you those Shadows of the Empire books. Next, we have a personal favorite, which is IG-88, the Assassin Droid. His first full appearance in comics was in Star Wars #50 from the original Marvel run. That's an epic book, and it has been going up quite a bit in price. And so let's take a look at that. The last one, this was actually a pretty good deal. That one sold for $290 with free shipping. I did not see that one hit, but that was a pretty good deal. It was the older style case, but typically this book has been selling kind of $300 to $325-ish, as high as $350. So I think anything under $300 is a pretty good price for that book. That's the first full appearance of IG-88, and that was in the original Star Wars #50 from 1981. Now, this is not a key book, but Star Wars Adventures Annual 2020 has an alternate cover by John Jiang. And here's what it looks like. I think if you just like IG-88 and you wanted kind of an epic cover for your collection, I've actually thought about buying this because it's a really nice Virgin cover. It's, again, from August of 2020. But look how epic that cover is, and it really captures IG-88 in all his glory. It's just a beautiful cover, and you can get it right now. There's some for sale on eBay right now for about $100 shipped. So just keep an eye out for those. And I actually received an offer for $75 plus another $15 shipped, so it's under $100 for that book in a 9.8 grade. And man, what an awesome cover. I'm really thinking hard about getting that. Next, we got a personal favorite, Valance. Bylert Valance. He was in Star Wars #16, was his first full appearance. That is a pretty epic early Star Wars book from the early Marvel run. And that one has creeped up quite a bit in price. 6 months ago, this was like $350, maybe $400. And one of them just sold for $520. So I think a lot of people are expecting Valance to potentially show up in either the Book of Boba Fett or the Mandalorian. The Book of Boba Fett makes the most sense given his kind of relationship with Boba Fett in a lot of the comic books. But this early book, Star Wars 16, is a pretty epic cover. Death and destruction are his tools. The Star Warriors are his targets. The Hunter. And it shows Jackson Rabbit. It's got Luke, Han, Chewbacca, R2, and C-3PO with Valance kind of with a gigantic gun with a big bayonet on the front of it. So it looks really cool. That's a really good book, but it has gone up quite a bit in price, and it's very expensive. But if you're serious about Valance, that's the one to get, obviously. It's his first appearance of Valance, as it's labeled by CGC. And, there's some others. There's a whole separate recent series called Star Wars Bounty Hunters, and he has a pretty major role in those books. And he also appears in the War of the Bounty Hunters that just came out this year. So I think that he's got a pretty high likelihood to show up at some point soon. It just seems like Marvel's kind of pulling him back into the fold with some recent comic books. Next, I wanted to talk about Star Wars 71. That is the first full appearance of Bossk. Obviously, he makes his first cameo in Star Wars 42, but Star Wars 71 is his first full appearance, and I think that's worth a look. Also, Star Wars 72, the very next book, is worth a look. That actually has Bossk and IG-88, and I believe Forlom on that cover, and it shows like Lando and Luke kind of being bound and getting ready to be thrown into like a pit. So that's another even cheaper option than Star Wars 71. Star Wars 71, the last sale was about $325. So $300 to $350 is going to be about the going rate for Star Wars 71 in a 9.8 grade. It's a nice cover, but it just doesn't have Bossk on the cover. And for about half this price, you can get Star Wars 72, the very next book, his second full appearance, and it shows Bossk and IG-88 on the cover. So that's another option if you don't want to spend the big money on Star Wars 71. Another option that's even cheaper, Star Wars 33 from 2017, the action figure variant. This is a store exclusive, and that has a Star Wars cardback of Bossk. There is a more recent John Tyler Christopher variant that has the Empire Strikes Back packaging, but this is the earlier one from 2017 and a store exclusive. That usually goes for about $150 to $160 in a 9.8 grade. So a couple of options there if you're a big Bossk fan like I am. There are rumors that he's going to be appearing in the Book of Boba Fett or the Mandalorian because some concept art showed up with Bossk in it. So we'll see what happens. But he's probably the highest likelihood to show up, given his antagonistic relationship with Boba Fett dating back to all of the books from the 1990s. One long shot that I think is worth considering is Durge the Bounty Hunter. Durge has been recently brought back into Marvel continuity for Star Wars, and I've talked about him in past videos. His first full appearance is in Star Wars Republic 51. It's got the Graveyard Moon cover. It doesn't have Durge on the cover, though, to my knowledge. So that's the only issue is, it's more expensive, obviously, since it's his first full appearance. It also is the second appearance of Asajj Ventress, so it's got a lot going on in that book. So it's pretty expensive, and I'll show you prices in a second. A slightly less expensive option is Star Wars Republic 52, the book that came out the very next month. That one has the first cover appearance of Durge and the first cover appearance of Asajj Ventress, and it's the second full comic appearance of Durge. So that's another option. So let's take a look at the prices of those two first before I show you an even less expensive option. Star Wars 51. His first full appearance again, or his second appearance of Ventress, that one sells for $350 to $375. It was as high as $450, but it's come back down a little bit. So that gives you a price for his first full comic book appearance. And then again, Star Wars 52, which is his second full comic book appearance, and the first cover appearance of Asajj Ventress and Durge. That's the better cover, in my opinion. And it's also a little bit less expensive. It's $227.50 was the last one that sold in October. So that gives you kind of a price point to aim for. Anything in that kind of under $250 range for that book. And I love that cover. It's just an epic cover. Now, more recently, this year, in Star Wars Dr. Aphro number 11, they brought back Durge because Durge supposedly died by getting force pushed into a star by, I believe, Obi-Wan Kenobi. And so he was thought to be dead, right? But his race apparently lives for thousands of years. So he can date back to the Clone Wars and pre-Clone Wars and all that good stuff. And they brought him back as part of a recent Dr. Aphro release from August of this year. Star Wars Dr. Aphro 11. They brought Durge back, so he's now in Marvel continuity. This is his first appearance in Marvel continuity, and he's also on the cover. So this is a really good, inexpensive option. One just sold in a 9.8 grade for $50 plus shipping. That's a great deal. I think that's a no-brainer of a pickup because we've already talked about Mace Windu number 5, which is the first appearance of Ahsoka Tano in Marvel continuity. That one goes for about $200 now. And while I know Durge is not nearly the character that Ahsoka Tano is, I think that price of $50, if Durge shows up in any of this live action content, that's going to double in price easily. So just some ideas for those of you who are into Star Wars comics and the bounty hunters, and you want some maybe investment grade ideas and also some less expensive ideas to add to your collection ahead of the release of the Book of Boba Fett next month. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back soon.